Hello everyone, it is Mrs. Smith here again, back for another session of our RE community learning. This is session 8, so if you haven't already completed session 1 to 7, then please go back and do them first. Now I wonder whether you can remember what we were thinking about the last session. We were thinking about Hindus and the 5 daily duties that they follow and choose to follow in order to live in community with other people. We also thought about how they really consider how their actions always lead to a consequence, that idea of karma. And I wonder if you can get your people person out. I haven't actually remembered to add a lovely face there, but I reminded myself of the daily duties, the karma and the action and consequences on my lovely little people person on my paper chain. We've got 4 people there that have all got lots of really good, valuable lessons that we're learning about community and what people believe in through their faith that contributes to how they live in community. Now, we're going to actually be exploring a worldview today called humanism. And before we do that, I just want to get into a little bit of an activity with you, and I'm going to share with you now the items you need for our learning today. So bear with me. That is what we're looking at today, how humanists follow rules to live in community with others. And let's have a look at what we need today. 3 pieces of paper. If we don't use them all, we don't, it's not a problem. And get your pencils ready and keep hold of your lovely people chain, because we might start adding some more to that later on the back. So off you go and collect your things. Fantastic. Right, well, now you've thought about what you need today, we're going to turn our thinking onto thinking about villains. Now, villains are interesting characters. I don't know whether you've ever considered that when you've watched a Disney film or when you're watching maybe your favourite TV programmes. I wonder, I'm going to share with you a couple of villains that I've thought of from various Disney films and things like that. Of course, we've got Scar from The Lion King. We've got Gru before he became nice and friendly. We've got Ursula from the Little Mermaid. We've got Captain Hook down there. We've got Jafar from Aladdin. You've got Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. And I want you to think about 3 of these villains, or you might choose 3 of your favorite villains from programs that you watch yourself. The real bad characters, the ones who are really nasty. And I want you to answer or think about these questions. What makes these characters bad? What rules do they break? And what does their breaking of those rules lead to? So, those 3 questions again. What makes these characters bad? What rules do they break? And what does their breaking of these rules lead to? Pause the video here and have a think. Right, great thinking. Now, I've been thinking in particular about Scar from, sorry, that question was meant to come up before. Apologies, everyone. I've been thinking about Scar as my chosen villain. And Scar is from Disney's Lion King. This is the cartoon version. And he's the villain of the film. I would say he's selfish, he's ambitious, and a liar. Now, his ambition, it's not bad to be ambitious. It's great to aim for things, but it's what he's choosing to be ambitious about. I mean, look at some of these pictures that I've put on the screen here. He's sharpening his claws, ready for the next attack. He's really grilling into Simba about what he should be thinking. He doesn't really care for the other animals, so he's really got his eyes on that mouse. Now, the values he's choosing to live, that being selfish, ambitious, being a liar, has led him to actually killing his brother. Not great at all, Scar. And if you know the story of the Lion King, you know actually what then happens as a knock-on. The values that we choose have a huge impact on our outwards behaviours. For example, choosing to be selfish or choosing to lie results in some really bad behaviour, just like Scar in the film. And I wonder if that links to any of those good feelings that we talked about right back in session 1 when you were thinking about what makes you, you. I wonder, do you ever think that there are such things as naughty or bad thoughts? I've got some words here. Got the word jealousy. I wonder if you can consider what jealousy might mean. When you're jealous, you're wanting what someone else has got. I wonder what you think of that word. I've got another word here, or a bad word, hatred. Now, hatred is purposefully hating someone. Have a think about that. And the last word I've got is being greedy. Now, I want you to think about what being greedy, taking more than you actually need. So I wonder whether jealousy, hatred, or greedy, or being greedy, start in our minds and sometimes lead to actions as well. In films or TV, the thought, so maybe one of these thoughts, is often the beginning of a bad deed. So thinking bad thoughts can lead to a bad deed. So here's a little challenge for you, and hopefully you'll enjoy doing this. I want you to think about, I'm going to just turn off the screen from Scar so you can focus on me. Hi there. I want you to think about coming up with a guide to naughtiness. Now, this is probably the only time a teacher is ever going to ask you to do this. But on one of your pieces of paper, I want you to make a list of 5 things that you think are quite naughty or quite bad. You can include some of those naughty thoughts that we've talked about from those words, or some of those naughty actions. I've got some examples to help you out. You're going to turn them into a code for being naughty. So you can decorate your page however you want. You can turn it into a nice rule poster or something like that. As you write your list, I want you to think about what the effects or the consequences of these naughty things are. So think back to that Hindu understanding of all actions have a consequence. So here's some ideas I had. I've got squeeze all my sister's special paints on the floor and mix them up. What a naughty action that would be. I've got delete all my mum's programs off the TV. Now, if that was my husband, he would not be happy at all. Very naughty actions there, Mrs. Smith. What about this one? If you've got brothers or sisters, you can imagine this happening. Sellotape my big sister to her bed. Now, I'd be shocked if you'd be allowed into her bedroom, but yeah, give that one a go. That's quite naughty. What about this one? Make everyone spaghetti, but use worms instead. These are some naughty actions, aren't they? And then I'm sure maybe some of you might even do this. Not clean my teeth for 5 days. Might need to have a visit to the dentist if you did those. So they're just some ideas. That would be my code for being naughty. So come up with 5 things that you would choose to be really naughty, even in actions or thought. Come up with that list now as you pause the video. Fantastic. I am sure you have written some really interesting guides to being naughty. And I wonder, what makes an action naughty or bad? I mean, I think that naughty or bad actions or words often hurt other people or animals. Another thing to think about is whether people sometimes hurt themselves when they're naughty. These are all really deep questions that are getting us really thinking today. You see, humanists who don't have a faith, they believe or they think that they can work out what is naughty by thinking about whether our actions will hurt someone else. Now, that's not a bad code to go by, is it? So we've looked at lots of different religions so far: Christianity, Sikhism, Hinduism. But is everyone part of a religion? See, many religions trying to be good with God. That's one of their aims. If you think back to Christianity, when we're looking at that, the first rule was love your God, or love God. But others think that you can be good without God and without aiming to please a God. So many people in the world do not believe in a God like the religions we have looked at so far. Some of these people call themselves humanists. They are all different. And many people say, I don't believe in religion, but I do believe in morality. That means knowing the difference from right and wrong and doing good. Or they say, I don't believe in any gods, but I do believe in humans, in humanity. That's actually quite a nice feeling to have. Let's have a look and see what some of those phrases are that they say. Going back, see scar, move past scar. Here we go. So these are some of the things that humanists say or believe in. They're all different. Many say, I don't believe in religion, but I do believe in morality and doing good. Or I don't believe in any gods, but I do believe in humanity. That last little bit there. Something that most humanists believe is that if they are good, then in general, they'll live a happier life. You might think that as well. So I want you to think about the rules or actions that help us to be good. On a piece of paper or on the back of your code to naughtiness, let's do the opposite now. Let's have a think. I want you to jot down a sentence or two to answer this question. What rules do you think make most people happy? So what are the rules that people follow that make or allow most people feel happy? Have a look. Pause the video here and have a go at writing a couple of sentences. Great. I wonder, let's stop that share. Hi there. I wonder whether you have thought about noticing other people's happiness as part of that, whether you've considered other people in your little sentence that you wrote. Is that important or just as important as your own happiness? See, humanism is not a selfish way to live because it is about happiness, not just for the individual, but for all humans, for all humanity. So in that in mind, that's almost linking up with the thinking of some of those religions that we've already looked at. So here we go. On underneath your sentence that you've just written, I wonder if you could write down one rule for people to follow. So only one rule for people to follow if they want a happier world. Okay, if you could choose one golden rule, it could become Mrs. Smith's golden rule to a happier world or a happier life is, you can decorate it if you like, what one golden rule to make a happier world? Pause the video here and write it down. You see, great rules for making a world, by the way, great rules for making a world a happier place. That's really good. Yeah, now, did you know that inside every person, we often have a code for living? It might be followed by your head, or it might be determined by your heart, but it helps people choose good things and to say no to the bad things. Now, humanist people work out their own rules for living by thinking carefully and trying hard not to hurt anyone. So let's share this next bit screen with you. Here we go. So these are some of the things that humanists follow. So be honest, be generous, use your mind, tell the truth, be thoughtful, think first and then act. I'm sure many teachers have told you that before. Do to other people what you would like them to do to you. Some simple humanist rules there. Now, I want you to think, these are the kind of rules that humanists use to live by. And it's good to remember that these are not rules given by a higher authority. They're not rules given by a God, like some of the religions are that we follow. But can you see how much of a positive impact all of those would make on a community if everyone followed that way of thinking, particularly that being thoughtful and the using your mind, being generous? Now, here's a challenge for you. I wonder if you can write those 6 statements in order of most important to least important. So take your time, pause the video here and have a go. Excellent. Now, I wonder if you put them in the same order as maybe someone else watching this video. Remember, there are no wrong answers here. It's how you feel that would be the most important to the least. Here's a challenge. I now want you to have a go at ordering them from the hardest rule to keep down to the easiest rule to keep. So see if you could maybe record them from hardest to easiest. Pause the video here to give it a go. Great. I'm sure you've got them in a brilliant order. Now, I wonder, are they actually all connected and equally hard to keep and most important at the same time? And I wonder what would happen if everyone in your school, in my school, in your town, in your area, in your community groups that you attend, I wonder what would happen if everyone lived like this? Or I wonder what would happen if everyone did the complete opposite of this. So we're so dishonest, didn't share at all, weren't thinking before speaking at all, you know, were always lying. Think of that community. What would that be like? Now, I want you to think back to the villains that we considered at the very start. We had, I don't know who you chose, but I focused on Scar. I want you to think about those villains. And I want you to consider, were any of those villains following these humanist values that we've just unpicked? If they were, how could you tell? And I wonder if you could see any similarities between the humanist values and what we've explored with the religious communities that we've looked at. I know I'm already drawing lots and lots of links. Now it's time to get your paper chain out from our sessions. Now I know we've already done our 4, but you can always flip on the back. I don't mind what you want to put in there, but there are some key words I want to take from what we've learned about humanism, the humanists today. I'm going to go for my middle one. I'm actually going to write on there, be honest. We've got to focus on doing our best for humanity. That I think is really important. Thinking first, using our minds. And I think that's really important. I wonder whether you need to remind yourself sometimes of that, or maybe your friends do. So those are what I've recorded, and I wonder what you might record on yours. Pause the video here to complete your little person. Excellent. Well, thank you for taking part in our little humanist session today as part of our community learning. I hope you won't stick to your guide to naughtiness and actually will stick to some of the rules that we've learned from humanists. Although they are tricky, some of them to keep, I wonder whether we can give that a go to make a better world for everyone. Now, in our next session, we are going to be thinking about how communities of different faiths and of different worldviews can actually work together. It's quite an interesting one, so tune in for the next session. Thank you for taking part. Bye.